Hi there, Crystal with Driven Devos, talking specifically to those who are neurodivergent today, but this applies to everybody. We're going to be talking about being uniquely wired and fearfully made. Maybe for years, you've been told that being different is something to hide, something to apologize for, or even something to fix. Whether you're told your mind works too fast or not fast enough, that your quirks are too much, or your silence is too loud, it can feel like the world's version of normal is a one-size-fits-all straitjacket. But here's a radical truth you need to hear today. God didn't make a mistake when He made you. Psalm 139 tells us that God didn't just casually create us. He knit us together in our mother's womb. Check it out. Psalm 139, 13 through 14 says, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." Think about that. God wove your brain, your heart, and your entire being with purpose. No randomness, no accidents. The way you process the world, the way you think, feel, and experience life is part of His design. And that includes the way your brain works if you're neurodivergent. It might feel like you don't quite fit in with the world's expectations. You might have ADHD, autism, dyslexia, or a whole host of other neurodivergent traits. But those traits aren't problems that need to be fixed. They're parts of you that are woven into the fabric of who God made you to be. So let me say this clearly. Being neurodivergent isn't a flaw. It's part of how God created you. And His creation is always, always good. Maybe you've been told otherwise, but God's word says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Fearfully means with reverence and awe. Wonderfully means with skill and intention. God doesn't make mistakes, and your brain's wiring is no exception. Jesus was the ultimate disruptor. He didn't fit the mold, and neither do you. He didn't think like the religious leaders. He didn't act like the Pharisees. He didn't speak in ways that made sense to the crowds. In fact, much of what He said went right over their heads or even ruffled their feathers. But that wasn't a mistake either. It was part of His mission to bring something new, something radically different, to show that God's kingdom isn't about fitting into the mold. It's about being transformed and being His. The world might try to box you in, label you, and tell you that you're broken. Might tell you that you need to get it together, or that your mind needs to be fixed. But what the world doesn't understand is that God made you to think differently, to live differently, and to contribute in ways that others can't. It's in your differences that you can see the world through a lens that no one else can. Your creativity, your ability to hyper-focus, your perspective, these aren't random. These are gifts from God. And yes, it can be hard. It can feel like a constant battle to exist in a world that doesn't understand you. But you were made to stand out, not to blend in. So embrace it. Remember, God created you with intention, and He's never ashamed of who you are. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Even your neurodivergence, your unique wiring, is part of His perfect plan. So stop apologizing for the way your mind works. Instead, let it lead you into the fullness of who you were called to be. God has a purpose for you, exactly as you are. And He will use your uniqueness to accomplish great things, not in spite of your mind, but because of it.